Welcome back to another episode of
Elements of the Unknown.
Okay.
Nope.
Spooky.
Nope.
Not so much.
I'm Jason
Cringy.
McGray.
I'm Justin Hume.
It's not working. These
No, I think we should just go back to the basics.
just go back to
Just-
basics.
Welcome back to another episode of Elements of the Unknown.
So boring.
Okay, fine. You just keep doing what you're doing. But what happened to me telling you, like, different ways of doing that? Like, I'll tell you a
Well, I don't-
celebrity you
I
have
don't-
to impersonate.
I don't
Try
hear-
Morgan Freeman.
I on the spot. I don't do impersonations on the spot. I'm gonna need like a week to practice that one. Guys, we are back. We are gonna talk about ghosts again because it's
Yeah.
a fan favorite topic to
Yeah.
talk about all things spooky. And to do that this week, we brought in
We got a
Durham.
guest.
We sure do. We brought in Durham Paranormal's own Gary.
Gary.
Yes, I'm here.
Well, we were going to say the last name, but I guess it's cool since he's here.
Yeah.
Gary MacLeod, how's it going?
It's going.
Good.
So you do ghost hunting?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's all we got for you guys.
Hey guys, well thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, Gary goes back with us, back to the ghost hunting days.
Yeah.
Paranormal investigation.
Durham Paranormal.
Unfortunately, Justin, he has more seniority than you.
That's cool.
That's okay,
All
though.
right, guys. Well, thank you for having me.
But I don't know who has more experience, but it doesn't matter who has more. You each have your own experiences.
I have more equipment, probably.
You do have a bunch of equipment, don't
I
you?
do. I do.
Yeah, you do have a bunch of equipment. Justin, I got doubles of everything, so I'll give you all mine. Now you have more of his, more than him.
So then I'll have more than you.
Touche.
Trumped.
You haven't been out in a while, though.
Oh, God, no.
No, you have not. But you did come out with us quite a bit. You were part of the team. You did investigating.
Where'd you guys go? Like, was there anywhere?
Yeah,
in
tell us
did quite
tell
a
us your stories, like from your vantage point,
like
because
anything that sticks out.
We did Ghost Road.
Okay.
yeah,
We debunked that one.
yep,
Wesleyville was pretty interesting.
Wesleyville is an abandoned. It's like a ghost town in Ontario,
Okay.
just outside of Port Hope, and there's I think like 2 or 3 buildings.
Well,
Left?
There's more. Oh, net left. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
been out
it.
there since.
I have. We at the time when we were doing it, we got to go into. Well, we didn't get to. We just went into an abandoned house.
You weren't exactly given permission.
Nope.
Well, you know what? It was weird. It was roundabout way. We were given permission.
Okay.
Somebody went ahead of us.
That's
Remember?
right. Yep.
And they went during the day. They saw somebody walking their dog, and they spoke to that person because they lived. There was like 1 active or 2 active houses in Wesleyville. The rest
Sure.
are all abandoned.
Okay.
And the guy said, the person on our team said, we're ghost hunters. We want to do investigations. We saw the abandoned house. It's kind of like a flag to go. If you
Okay.
see something abandoned, go investigate it.
Sure.
And the guy said, okay, I don't have an issue with you guys doing that as long as you're not vandalizing stuff. But my neighbor, if he's home, he'll call the cops.
Okay.
So he's like, come back. If you see his car gone, he's usually gone into the city for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be gone most of the night.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, cool. So we went back, and the guy's car was gone. So
Perfect.
we parked our cars off the road, kind of in like a bushy type area.
Yeah,
It was like a
Just
trail.
kind of hidden away.
Yeah, hidden
Yeah,
off
yeah.
the road. And then we went in. I'll let Gary tell you about like what happened in that house. It was
Yeah,
pretty
let's hear it,
wild.
man.
We did a bunch of EVPs and stuff over in there, and I'm not a believer at all.
Okay.
I want to be proven wrong, so that's more of the reason why I go out, and I like the history search and stuff like that.
Sure.
But if Jay runs, I'm running too. And that night Jay ran, and yeah, Gary ran
Really?
too. I cleared the stairs, and
Do you remember what it was that made me
it was
run?
that growling.
Oh yeah, there
The
was.
growling.
Yep.
We
were
didn't
up
know
in
what it was.
We got to the attic.
Yes. No, top floor. With no attic.
I guess top floor, I guess you would say. So we have a device. It was called a listen-in device. It was kind of like a Whisper 2000 type thing.
Okay.
So it was a live microphone that you put in your ear, almost like you would see. It looks like a Bluetooth, like the old school Bluetooths from the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
That you saw people wrap around your ear, a little microphone piece coming out down the side of your cheek, like the jawbones or whatever.
Yeah.
And but it didn't record. All it did was let you listen.
Listen in.
But you could turn the sensitivity up so that if somebody across the room whispered, you heard it as if they were talking loudly in your ear.
Really?
So we thought, well, let's try to use this piece of equipment and see what it does.
Sure.
I think it was fairly new that you got it too.
It was like, it was our first field test with the
Yeah.
item. And I heard something growl on the mic. And because I had that thing in my ear, it was so loud. And I was like, nope. And I ran.
And didn't stick around to see what it was?
And this guy didn't stick around to even know what was going on. He was
To be honest with you, I pushed everybody away from the stairs so I could get down first. So I got the hell out of there as quickly as possible.
No doubt. No doubt.
But that was only... it was like at the start of the upstairs investigating.
Yeah.
We went back up, like an hour or two later, we went back up with the whole team.
Yeah, once we got the...
And everybody
The whole
positioned
team.
around the different spot of the room.
Yeah.
And Gary stuck close to me because if he saw me running, he was going to run again.
Yeah, no doubt.
And yeah, he made sure to let everybody know I ran. Yeah.
Jay ran. We need to go.
Yeah.
That's what I exactly said. I said, if Jay's running, so am I.
Yeah.
You better be following. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
no kidding. No
You're getting
doubt.
stuck there by yourself.
So
And
you
then
guys, go ahead.
we went back up, and then there was some like knocks and noises or something, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a couple noises. We got a lot of action with the voice box, actually.
With the
Radio.
like the spirit box.
Yeah,
The spirit box?
Yeah.
That was relatively new at the time as well.
Yeah, but we were getting a lot of chatter on it, I believe.
Yeah, and then I remember. I think somebody else was using the listen-in device.
It's a possibility. Yeah.
Or maybe we had two of them at the time.
Oh, yes, because I think Scott had one.
Scott had one.
Yeah.
And Scott said, I'm hearing something. And I put mine in, and then it sounded like there was like a small child in the wall or something, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounded
I
like...
didn't hear it.
You guys didn't hear it, but I was like, there's something in the wall, like making whining noises like it's crying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in hindsight, I'd probably think it was like a raccoon or something.
I think
Could've
we
been.
might have got some recordings of that, too.
It's very possible we
I
did.
think so. I don't remember going through that footage too much.
Well, a lot of my old files were on an old hard drive that my brother accidentally broke. So that's a lot of investigating stuff.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, there was Wesleyville, Ghost Road that we debunked.
Ghost Road,
But that's a fan favorite. And
Yeah.
it's something that we are exploring a lot. Again.
Yeah.
So,
Did Salem Cemetery.
Yep.
That's just a classic to go to.
Yeah.
Mount Zion. That one was wild. We had a really good experiences there.
so do you remember the experience we had at Mount Zion that you could tell people?
Well, I had borrowed a friend of mine's night vision camera, and I've been taking pictures and everything, not in night vision, in night vision, and we got a picture of the front of Mount Zion, and it looked like there was a lady in the window, old lady in the window looking out. I still have that picture, I believe.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember that.
And then we have the energy ball that was following you,
Right?
the big energy sphere that was literally following you with tracers, and I don't think we got much more than that. I think the motion sensor that we had kept going off and on at the front door.
Okay.
What else? I don't remember any of the EVPs if they came out with anything.
I'm sure we got some. I wish I had the old files. The one thing I remember about Mount Zion, I don't know if you remember, I ended up having to do a wedding up there as a DJ.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And this was after we had investigated the place a few times.
Oh boy.
And somebody's like, I'm having a wedding reception. And I was like, okay, I'll be a DJ. That's your wedding gift. You don't have to pay for a DJ. This is way back in the day when I used to do DJing stuff.
Okay.
You know, when I was a cool kid.
Yeah.
And
DJ Gravity.
That's it. Sorry. And then they told me where it was, and I was like, oh, that place is like ridiculously haunted. It was Mount Zion. The stories were that like that it used to be an old schoolhouse, and apparently there was a fire there, and people died, and et cetera, et cetera. So, lead up to the wedding, go to do the wedding. I get all the DJ equipment out, and there's on the device I was using CD players. So it's 2 CD players, and there's a lever to go from left to right on the CD player to switch from CD to CD, so you kind of don't have any gaps in the music.
Okay.
So you can just kind of fade to the next song, fade to the next song, and fade to the next song without stopping.
Okay.
So that lever to go between the 2 CDs, that's manual.
Okay.
Like you have to grab it and move it over.
Right.
So I had one song playing, and I put the CD in for the next song, and I was queuing up the song I wanted, and I got it ready, and I'm waiting for the song to play so that I can move over to the next one, and I'm sitting back, and all of a sudden, it's called a crossfader. The crossfader starts moving on its own, and it moves and starts playing a song I didn't select. It started playing "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi. And the entire room looked at me because it was mid-song. And then he just started playing this, and they're like, what are you doing? And I had my hands up in the air. I was like, I'm not touching anything. It's doing it. It's on its own. And back then I used to smoke, and I was like, I'm going to let it play out. I'm going to go have a cigarette and go inside. Because I didn't want to be anywhere around it.
So how close was this hall? Was it a hall then?
It's a community center hall right now. Yeah, it's still there.
And how close was it? Like
it's like 2 minutes up the road from Salem Cemetery.
Oh wow.
It's close. We can go there. There's like a chain at the entranceway sometimes, so that you can't really drive the car into their parking lot.
I got 2
It's
feet.
in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you can walk around. You can get it. We could park the car on the side of the road and walk up. I would never suggest anybody to try to get into the building because it is an active community center. It is run by somebody.
Okay.
They might have cameras. But if you just kind of go and walk around the building, don't disturb anything and stuff like that. That's what we were doing.
Yeah, that's what we did.
We would just go walk around with our equipment and take pictures and stuff and EVPs. We're not disturbing anything. We're not trying to get into anywhere. But yeah, you can do that, and you'll get evidence for maybe not every time, but you'll get evidence.
Yeah.
Some sort of evidence.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen anything yet, so it's still not real.
So you still haven't seen a ghost?
No, I haven't seen. No.
Heard anything that makes you kind of question?
No, just Jay running. That just made me question everything and run, but
Okay.
it didn't do anything for me
So-
because there was no proof, right?
What makes you a non-believer? Are you just a skeptic of the whole?
My whole philosophy on it is if I haven't seen it, then it can't be real.
What about $1 million? Have you seen $1 million?
Every day that I work.
Oh yeah, you work at a casino.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing: if you can't see it, it's not real. But there's like toxic gas that can kill you that you can't see. Is that not real?
Well, that's different, though.
It's
different, though.
It is. It's two different things, but the train of thought is there.
Maybe, yeah.
They're like, damn it, don't do that to
maybe
me.
I just don't want to believe because I want to be
That's-
proven wrong.
That's
How
what
about
it
that?
is.
I want to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
If apparition happens in front of me, my attitude will change really fast. But it hasn't happened.
Well, you're in the right house.
Well, shit. Hopefully nothing happens.
Should we bring down the voodoo doll?
Yeah, let's put it on Gary's lap.
Yeah, right. We'll let you cuddle it for a bit
I'll
and see what
antagonize the
happens.
shit out of it, and you know I will.
Yeah, Gary was good at antagonizing. That was for sure.
Well, that's,
I can
that's
see
the
that.
best part about not being a believer is that
It's antagonizing.
if
you don't think there's going to be a consequence to
right,
anything you're doing.
if you
Yeah, I get it.
want to be proven wrong, why wouldn't I antagonize?
I'd love for him to come. I've never done any investigations with him.
Oh,
You guys haven't worked together.
Never,
yes, we
never
have.
worked together.
So
So we have not.
All
When
part
did
of the
we
same
work?
team in different
we
generations.
did Camp X together, I believe.
Oh, that
Camp 30?
Camp
Camp
30 in
Camp
Bowmanville.
30, yeah, where we had
Did
to
we do
run
that?
from certain people that were there.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
That's
that's
yeah.
that's
I don't
another
think I was
topic.
there for that.
No, it's not another topic. It's just it was a location we wanted to go and try to get some. We did a lot of historical digging on that one,
Yes, a
and we
lot.
wanted to go and see what we could find. There was another group there when we got there though of kids,
Yeah.
and they ran into the area and started messing around. The thing about Camp 30 is it's patrolled by security and
Yeah.
the police go by sometimes.
Even heavier, more so nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Mm.
But we had gotten into that building. It sucked because there was broken glass all
was
over
a
the floor.
pain to get out of.
It was a mess. And we got kind of stuck in there because those other people attracted the security and the police, and they went looking for them. And we had a big group with us.
Yep.
And we were inside the building trying to be quiet and turned all the flashlights off. You weren't there for that?
No,
The
I
only
don't think I was there for
saving
that.
grace was those kids. They distracted
it was
them enough that we all got out.
Nice.
So we're like, we had sent Scott into the basement by himself.
Yes, they did.
But he's a skeptic too, right?
He is. He has the same mentality as him. Like,
Yeah.
I want to believe, but I'm not sure if I do. But so we're like, okay, Scott, go down in the basement and see what we can find. And then we seen this spotlight go by the windows outside, and we're like, oh shit, it's the cops. So we're like, everybody turn your flashlights off. And Scott's like, it's so dark down here.
I can picture Scott too.
Oh yeah.
And
He's sitting there just balled up in
Yeah.
a little corner.
He's in a basement, and we're at the top of the stairwell, and like, he's trying to get back up the stairs.
Whether you
to
believe
us.
or not, that's still freaky.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then when we're like, okay, we got to sneak out of this building.
Everybody's helping each other out.
Yeah.
And we're like holding on to each other, helping each other walk, and we're like trying to get out of this building, and the ground is absolutely just coated in broken little shards of glass. So every time you step, you hear that crunch of glass. And when you're trying to be quiet, that is the loudest thing in the world.
Especially in an empty hall.
So
It just echoes.
yeah, and it was a big empty hall in the middle of a room.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get out, and every time we step, we're making noise, and we're like trying not to let the security find us. We ended up making it out of that building though.
We got out of the building and we could see these kids like to our left, and they're pretty far away, and they're talking to the security guards, and I'm like, we need to go now.
Yeah.
So we take off, we dive into the brush that's on the ground, lay there for a little bit, and then they start walking back. So we go and run through the woods, jump over the fence, and go to our cars. And the
And
security
then the
guards,
police
the
came
police
up.
came, and they're the police. What are you guys doing? Oh, we were just coming to investigate Camp 30 or Camp X, whatever you guys want to call it. And like, I'm talking, I'm telling Jay, let me talk, because I'm in the security industry.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we came, and I do security for a living, and we saw the no trespassing sign. So I told the guys it's not a good idea, that we'd have to find out who owns the property and see if we can get access just to walk through maybe at night and see what's going on. We didn't realize that if we crossed, it would have been trespassing until we saw the sign, so we didn't bother. And they're like, okay guys, yeah, just so you know, it's really it's patrolled often, blah blah blah, and they let us go.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, you guys are fine. You can stay across the street, take pictures from outside the area.
Yeah.
That's cool. He's like, do you know if there's anybody else in there? I'm like, yeah, we think there was some other group. That car's not with us.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. I've been by there again since we've done that. Remember there was a little building we were able to kind of park beside it?
Yes.
They since
yes.
tore that building
building's
down.
gone.
Yeah.
On the opposite
across the
street,
street,
yeah.
yep.
It's gone.
The building's gone. There's nowhere to
That was a
park.
good place to hide your car.
Yeah,
It was. I think I picked up a nail from there once. That was nice.
So that place is still there. It's Camp 30. It's on Lambs Road in Bowmanville. You can go during the day. It does say no trespassing. There are local people that like walk their dogs through the grounds. So if you want to walk through the grounds, you can see the buildings. I wouldn't suggest going through the buildings. They're starting to crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not a safe place to go.
I believe there's talks though about
Yes.
revitalizing.
There's been so many talks actually about saving them, fixing them. They were used to film TV shows. Have used it, like post-apocalyptic world type stuff.
Yep.
Have used it. I can't remember the name
It's
of
a
some
big
of the
part
shows.
of history. They should keep them.
Yeah, there's definitely
agree.
a lot of history there. Camp 30 is it was a base during World War II where they housed the officers of the Germans and the Japanese officers, not the grunt military like the front line, but if they ever captured an officer, they would send it to Canada and they would house them there in that camp. They were all treated extremely well, and they actually have what's called Battle of Bowmanville, where all the officers locked themselves up inside the building and refused to come out. And the Canadian military couldn't get in until they get them out. And they barricade themselves in and they arm themselves with hockey sticks. And they hold themselves up in that place for 2 days. For 2 days they wouldn't come out. It was like the mess hall or something. So they had food. They didn't come out. When they decided to surrender and come out, because they had given the Canadian military such a hard time after being treated so well. Like we're not talking POW camps like in Germany where they're treated poorly. We're talking like they were given all kinds of food.
Like maple syrup, pancakes, the regular Canadian treatment.
Stuff. Yeah. And they were obviously they were given hockey sticks to play hockey outside. Like they were able to just do whatever. Well, after they locked themselves up and they finally came out, as punishment, the Canadian military butt them in the back of the head with their rifles. Every single person that came out.
Really?
Yeah. The other cool story that comes out of Camp 30 is that there was one person who kept escaping from there.
Okay.
And he would make his way down to the lake and follow the lake up the St. Lawrence River.
Okay.
And they captured him twice going outside the camp along the river. They captured him. The third time he escaped, they said, let's see where he's going. Because he's going to the same place every time. So they said, okay, I think I know what they're doing, what he's doing. So they let him go all the way up the St. Lawrence River to the mouth of the ocean.
Okay.
And they followed him, and a U-boat submerged. It came up out of the water, and there was a U-boat to pick him up. But the Canadian military used it as bait, and they captured that U-boat.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it has some really good history from that place.
Yeah, no kidding.
Lots of interesting facts.
After the war, I think it served as a few different things. It was an all-girls Montessori school or something like that for a while. And now it just sits abandoned. One of the buildings has a big gaping hole in the side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. There's quite a few buildings, too.
Yeah.
We've only ever been in one. Not with the lights on.
Yeah, no.
You were only in the one building?
We had time. We just got into one building.
We were in there for like, what, 20 minutes?
20 minutes, maybe?
Max.
I've gone quite a few times, and I had enough time to go to each and every single building, and I actually have pictures of inside each and every single building, like the gymnasium that was there, the mess hall. There was another building that almost reminded me of like where people would go to sleep, so I guess like not a cabin, barracks, but yeah, kind of like a barracks where everyone would sleep. There's a few portables where actually there was like a mound of dirt outside, and I went to move some out of the way, and it was actually a mud wasp nest.
Oh, shoot.
And one of the little girls that was with us, one of my wife's friend's daughters, got stung, and pretty sure she was allergic to them. So yeah, that was fun.
She was allergic to mud?
To the bees.
Oh, the bees.
Yeah.
You said they were wasps.
Or wasps, whatever. You know what, Gary? See, this is why we didn't have you on. Because you're a dick. Gary's a dick.
Why you just call him a dick like that just for calling you out?
Right?
Because why has he got to call me out for it?
I call you out all the time.
That's true.
That's true. I do have a question that I've never asked you, to be honest, in regards to things with the unknown. You have a Canadian Native background.
Yes.
Sorry.
Ojibwe?
Ojibwe. There we go. Do you have any beliefs of the unknown based off of your Ojibwe heritage?
Oof. I want to say no.
Okay.
Until recently.
Okay. That always sounds like a story.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
It is. It's a quite hard story to tell, but I'll tell it.
Oh, thank you.
I went back home in last August. It's the first time in 30 years that I've been back to the reserve. And I went back for a meeting this time. I brought my dad and my grandmother's remains back home to be laid on reserve. My aunt's an elder. She teaches, and, well, if you look at me, I'm white. I don't live on a reserve, so I don't know the culture as much as some people do. And so my aunt's doing a ceremony for my grandmother, my father. She's doing it in Ojibwe and in English, and explaining along the way on why we do certain things and stuff like that. I knew some of it as a close friend of ours. Mike is Ojibwe Indian, and he does a kind of
Shout out Big Nish.
yeah, Big Nish brand. Remember that one? He does something with the culture because we're from the same culture. When we go to an Argos game, he does a spirit plate, and the spirit plate is just the food that you're eating for that day. You offer it as an offering to loved ones that are no longer with us, and anything that goes to that plate, living wise, like insect or bird or whatever, that goes to that plate is actually one of our loved ones that are coming back to
Okay.
time with us. I never really believed in it, but I know it's a part of the culture, so I respected it. Well, my aunt did this at the reserve, and I'm kind of grasping everything that's going on. You know, it's the last time I'm going to have my dad's remains, and, you know, it's finally a time for me to mourn and let go and whatnot. And I'm sitting there, and my aunt's talking, and I'm watching the plate, and a single fly flies into this plate. So I'm like, shit, that's fucked up. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching. Fly takes off, I follow it, comes and lands on my lap. Well, now I'm going, what the hell is going on here? Because my aunt's still teaching, and she's still telling us what it represents and all that. So I'm like, okay, we'll keep it together here, Gary. Just keep it together. It's almost done. Fly takes off, goes back to the plate, and lands in the plate. I'm watching it. Second fly comes and lands in the plate. Well, Gary starts bawling. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if everything that my aunt is saying is true, that's some fucked up shit. My dad, I felt it was my dad. He came, he went to the plate like he's supposed to, and then he came to me, said he's okay, and went back and waited for his mom. So that's kind of what happened with the whole thing. There's other stuff that we do that's
Right.
kind of messed up, like.
So it kind of gave you that brush of the spiritual side.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Which
yeah,
is really
yeah.
cool. Which
Yeah.
is a really
Cool,
cool
man.
experience.
It was a good way to leave the situation that I was in a positive way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like
So-
It's almost
closure,
like
almost.
closure. Yeah. It's
It was, and my aunt stopped me at the end of it, and she's talking to me, and she's like, "Can I ask why you started crying like that?" And I told her the reason, what I saw, and she goes, "Do you know what that is?" And I explained, it's Dad and Grandma, and she was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah. She gave you confirmation.
So I walked away and cried again.
Yeah, of course, dude. Man,
No
it's
kidding.
personal.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's other stuff that they do spirit wise, and it's just
So what I would take myself, what I understand is, it's funny because at the start of this episode you tell us you're a skeptic and you don't believe because you haven't seen anything.
right,
Follow me. And you still haven't seen a ghost,
right,
but now you've had a spiritual experience.
right.
So it's still kind of part of the unknown. Does it give you that
So-
extra step towards belief
So it's
in
not
some kind of form and way?
a little bit. I said I don't believe in ghosts.
Right.
I didn't say I don't believe in spirits.
What about Bigfoot?
No.
He's not coming on the Bigfoot hunt with us.
No, you're uninvited. I don't think you're invited to
I
begin
was
with.
hoping we'd have a native with
I
us,
think
but
spirits.
he knows
and
bird
ghosts-
calls.
Spirits in the sense of in the native world is definitely a lot different than ghosts. Like spirits, they're it's not just like an apparition or anything like that. Spirits live within the trees, it's a form of life,
Right.
right? It's like a form
In
of energy.
Aboriginals, it's yeah.
Yeah,
it's a form
spirits
of
is a whole different form of leadership, right? So you got the spirit of the water, spirit of the sun, spirit of the earth, spirit of the trees, stuff like that. And they're more like spirit guides. So somebody who would really be able to tell you in depth of what those spirits are is like a medium or a psychic or something like that. More so a medium because they're in touch with said spirit and whatnot.
Or elders.
Elders as well,
absolutely elders. There's a lot of stuff that's really unknown, and I've been trying to figure out a lot of it. Like, there's 4 doors apparently you have the north door, the east door, the west door, and the south door.
Okay.
So only thing I grasped out of all of it is don't ask me what the north and south door do because I have no clue.
Okay.
But I know the east door is where the living walk in, and the west door is where the spirits and the deceased they leave.
Okay.
Right. So if there's a circle and you're doing a ceremony, the opening of the circle is always to the east.
Okay.
And you go around that circle and you come out the east because you're living. Well, the west door is where our loved ones that come into the circle, they leave through the west. It's really
leaving
confusing.
into like what, the afterlife?
You should probably learn what the other two doors are, because what if they're like one's where the beer is and one's where the food is?
Right?
Because then he wouldn't know what door to go to.
If that's the case,
I'd be going
if
south for
that's-
the food.
If that's the case, it doesn't matter what door I walk in up there. My auntie will make sure I eat.
Amen to that.
So,
I always wanted to like go on reserve with you and like
I'm going in August.
just experience in a welcoming way. Just kind of like, I don't want to like interrupt anything, but just like experience some of the culture, even if it's just getting together and having a barbecue type thing. You know what I mean?
You've known me for like 16 years. I'm not a religious person.
Right.
By any means.
Right.
But when it comes to the Aboriginal culture, I kind of try to pay attention. Because it's a part of my background, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
I think there's a difference between being religious and being cultural.
Sure.
Yeah, so,
absolutely.
like, as much as I don't want to, I never really have been like a religious type person, but I very much want to experience cultures. I love experience cultures. That's why I would love to go with you and experience the culture.
I'm going in August.
Let's go. Can we go ghost hunting too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want real?
We're getting the band back together.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. I'm 4th generation Native myself, and I've never.
Are you really?
Yeah, I've never.
Status?
No, not statist. I think my grandfather was statist. But nobody else really kind of took to getting the whole status thing.
Do you know where your reserve is?
Quebec.
Oh,
Northern
that one
part of
doesn't
Quebec.
count.
So you're Métis.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a big difference between First Nations and
He's
Métis.
not just
Okay.
Métis, he's high maintenance.
High Métis in it.
So I've never. I don't know the full background.
So to put it as white as possible,
Sure.
First Nations is recognized,
Okay.
where Métis is still not recognized.
Oh, okay.
So Métis, from what my understanding is, and it's probably wrong, but we'll say it anyways, Métis is like a half-breed. So
Okay.
it was Aboriginal or Indian and French.
So you're
Sure.
like a human Nephilim.
So
Sure.
French and Native created a baby, and that would be considered Métis.
Okay.
Métis is not recognized because Métis has no land.
Okay.
Métis was run out of their land, so they were a traveling tribe. So they traveled all the way through Canada, yada yada. And where First Nations have land. That's how come we're statusable. That's why we don't pay taxes,
Okay.
which is a crock. Never mind. Anyways, we're not gonna get.
That's
into
another topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother topic. But that's the difference.
So I was also told
So you're-
something about Cree. Maybe that's the tribe or something like that.
But if your family was Métis,
Yeah.
your grandfather wouldn't have been status.
No, he wouldn't, and so then he
He
wouldn't
wouldn't be
have.
status.
That's why I wasn't
So
sure.
there is a thing called the MNO, which is the Métis Nations of Ontario, I believe,
Okay.
and they're trying to get Métis some rights and stuff like that. Which
Sure.
absolutely they should. They had their land stolen from them.
I mean, we got a few places we could just give them like Oshawa or Hamilton or something.
right?
We don't want it.
Yeah.
We don't want it.
You don't want
You
it?
can keep it.
No, you can keep it.
We can even give it.
I'll speak
No.
for them. You can keep it.
Yeah, but the cultures are pretty similar. It's just the difference is that we have land and Métis doesn't, right? So
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know any of that. Thank you for that.
it's quite interesting if you actually follow the rabbit hole for that one.
Yeah,
It
Oh,
goes
we're all about rabbit
pretty
holes on
Yeah,
this
man.
show.
far.
for sure.
Pretty.
yeah. Hey, I learned something new about my family heritage today. Didn't know that was going to happen.
There you go.
Thank you for that.
All it took was bringing an Indian into the group.
There you go.
And feeding them a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a ranch.
Who'd have thought that?
Right?
All right, folks. So we're gonna wrap it up. I know it seems quick sometimes when you're on,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's where you're probably gonna want to come on again and talk
Yeah.
more stories.
Yep.
That's what happens. This has been a fun little surprise.
Yep.
And all it takes is reaching out.
Yeah.
And we'll get you on.
Yep.
So
That's
until next time, stay spooky.
Stay weird.